Hello and welcome to my presentation for the final intervention project on pediatric traumatic brain injury. The table of contents, we will first start with the patient background, then discuss the treatment approach, and then go to the demonstration. Julia's background, she is 8 years old. Her traumatic brain injury occurred at 4 years old. Previous treatment includes pragmatic social communication disorder, regarding difficulty interpreting nonverbal communication. She currently receives occupational and physical therapy for fine and gross motor skills. She is very compassionate, and hugging impulsively has been observed by her interprofessional practice team in various settings and with different people, and has persisted through school age. So it didn't seem like Julia exhibited any effects from the traumatic brain injury, but as she is getting older, it is more noticeable. And other diagnoses include paresis, which involves reduced muscle strength. Treatment approach. I chose the social story because it'll demonstrate 4 strategies that can help with the impulsive hugging. The 4 strategies are deep breathing, a hand-heart hug, a raised hand, and saying thank you. Each strategy in the story will have a picture that refers to the story, and that those pictures can go with Julia in the form of a visual supports on a ring as the social story wherever she goes, so it can be generalized. This approach was also chosen so that Julia would be able to identify with the character in the story. On each page, the character facilitates interaction with the strategies, and these strategies can be paired with role play to practice these social skills in real-world communications. And I talked about that last point, got ahead of myself. Choosing social stories is to improve pragmatic language and behaviors. Because the impairment of cognition affects the ability to plan and self-monitor during social interactions. This leads to the next point, which is social stories allows the SLP or the clinician to teach and reteach appropriate behaviors and social skills in real world communications. So like previously mentioned in the how, it would be through the visual supports ring and the social story, which can be carried anywhere. And this would include basically, in order for it to be generalized, any adult that works or who regularly interacts with Julia would need to know how to implement these supports. But it does support the why in terms of reteaching behaviors and then using it across different contexts and with different people. The why also includes fostering metacognitive awareness by being able to connect with the character in the story. So being able to point out in the story, oh, I experienced that too. Okay, so this is something I can do or this is a strategy I can implement when I feel like I need to give a hug. The reason for not choosing phonological awareness, which was another treatment approach within Julia's age range between 5 to 10, is because it's literacy based. Although there's an overlap of executive functions between both, literacy based intervention or phonological awareness as a literacy based intervention supports reading and writing and supports skills that are inherently difficult because the brain is not naturally wired to read and write. Whereas with social stories, because they target pragmatic language and behavior, pragmatic language ties into that social communication piece. And the other aspect is that Social stories are distinct from other communication disorders because cognition is the source of impairment within cognitive communication impairment. And those social stories, again, generally are used to teach children either step-by-step routines or different types of behaviors. So social stories was a match more for Julia. Here's my demonstration from lesson plan 2, activity 2, part 1 for the role play floor activity. The materials include large paper dice, 4 8.5 by 11 cards with ways of showing care. So this is the first, the first step in the process is the clinician and Julia will place the 8.5 by 11 cards on the floor. So this is the first one for the hand heart hug. Raising the hand to ask if Julia can give a hug. Saying thank you whenever somebody does an act of kindness instead of hugging. And taking a deep breath if someone says they do not want a hug. So the next step is Julia takes the dice and rolls it on toward one of those 8.5 by 11 cards. The clinician and Julia enact the picture card, basically, that the dice landed on. In the first part of the role play, the clinician acts as the teacher, saying no, she doesn't want a hug, and then Julia has to use, for example, the hand heart hug, if the dice landed on the hand heart hug, to show that she has another strategy instead of just going up and hugging. And the hand heart hug is useful because Julia can just show half a hand heart hug across the classroom non-verbally to show her care. And then step 4 is when the client and the clinician switch roles. And Julia is then the one as the teacher who says she doesn't want the hand hug. And then the clinician pretends to say, I really want a hug. And then the clinician will prompt Julia through questions about how she felt when someone is trying to do something she doesn't want, and then connect that to say, well, that's how other people might feel when they may not want to hug. And that's why she uses these other strategies in place of giving hugs. And thank you for listening to my presentation.